The U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday upheld a California law requiring pork products sold in the state come from humane pig pens. In a 5-4 decision that crisscrossed the court's usual partisan divide, the justices dealt a blow to pork producers who argued the law unfairly penalized out-of-state farmers. California's measure, approved by voters as a 2018 ballot initiative called Proposition 12, bars sales in California of pork, veal, and eggs from animals whose confinement failed to meet certain minimum space requirements. Conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch, who authored the court's main opinion, wrote, quote, "While the Constitution addresses many weighty issues, the type of pork chops California merchants may sell is not on that list." The court's conservative Chief Justice John Roberts dissented, writing, quote, "In my view, petitioners plausibly allege a substantial burden against interstate commerce." The industry had argued that the measure violated a U.S. Constitution provision called the Commerce Clause, that courts have interpreted as empowering the federal government, not states, to regulate interstate commerce. President Joe Biden's administration sided with the pork producers in the case, saying that states cannot ban products that pose no threat to public health or safety due to philosophical objections. California's law mandates pig confinement spaces be large enough to enable animals to turn around, lie down, stand up, and extend their limbs. Animal rights groups have said some pork producers confine pigs in cages so small that pigs cannot turn around for most of their lives.
Email exchanges from inside the BBC, they talk about the risk of violating Indian laws. It's easier to rake up the freedom of speech debate, but does it give anyone a free pass to knowingly violate the law? America supports India because it needs India's support in return. And India is working with the US because it suits India's interests. This is how geopolitics works. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. The UK is looking at the Indian subcontinent to fill its coffers. That India seems to be negotiating from a position of power, like a partner and not a former colony.
And there they go. It looks
like the US and Russia are dangerously close to an armed conflict. This year, 2023, New Delhi will be the capital of global diplomacy. For a country as diverse as ours, with 88% of the population illiterate, it was a very big deal to write a constitution, and that too, the world's largest. Meanwhile, if we may, here's a Republic Day gift from India for the BBC. A list of suggestions for the BBC for their upcoming documentaries. Number 1. The Kohinoor and the colonial loot. Number 2, an outdated monarchy and unhealthy obsession with the royals. Number 3, racism in 2023. We're waiting.